Hello, and welcome to LSET Tech Byte. Today we are creating a simple gradient generator using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. In this video, we'll walk you through step by step on how to build this useful tool that allows you to generate custom gradients for your web project. Now, before we dive into the coding, let's briefly talk about what a gradient is. A gradient is a smooth transition between two or more colors. It adds depth and visual interest to your designs, and it's a popular technique used in web development to enhance the look and feel of websites. Let's start by examining the HTML structure of our project. Here we have a basic HTML template. We've included a title for our project. Inside the body tag, we have a container div that holds our gradient generator interface. Within this container, we have a colors div containing two color input elements. These input elements allow users to select the colors for their gradient. We've set default colors for demonstration purposes, but users can choose any colors they like. Next, we have a buttons div containing buttons to select the direction of the gradient. Each button has an icon representing a direction, such as up, down, right, left, top right, bottom left, etc. When clicked, these buttons will set the direction of the gradient accordingly. Below the color inputs and direction buttons, we have a generate button. This button, when clicked, will trigger a JavaScript function to generate the gradient code based on the selected colors and direction. Finally, we have an output div containing a text area element where the generated gradient code will be displayed. Below the text area, there's a copy button to allow users to easily copy the generated code to their clipboard, a link to Font Awesome for some icons, and a link to an external CSS file called style.css. To make our gradient generator functional, we've linked an external JavaScript file called script.js. This file contains the necessary functions to handle user interactions and generate the gradient code dynamically. And that's the HTML code for our gradient generator. Let's dive into the CSS code that styles our gradient generator. We'll go through each section to understand how the generator's appearance is being defined. We've added some styles to ensure that our gradient generator is visually appealing and user-friendly. We start by styling the main container where our gradient generator resides. We've given it a light background color, added some padding for spacing, rounded the corners with a border radius, and applied a subtle box shadow to create a sense of depth. Moving on to the color input section, we've arranged the color input elements horizontally using Flexbox. Each input has been styled to have a fixed width and height, with a border radius to soften the edges. We've also added a hover effect to give users visual feedback when they interact with the inputs. The direction buttons section follows a similar styling approach. We've used Flexbox to arrange the buttons horizontally and space them evenly. Each button has a fixed size, a border to create a distinct outline, and transitions for smooth animation effect. The active button and hover states are styled differently to provide visual cues to the user. Our generate button is styled to stand out with a contrasting background color and white text. We've applied padding for better touch interaction, set a cursor pointer, and added a transition effect to make the button feel responsive. Moving down to the output section, we've styled the text area where the generated gradient code will be displayed. It's given a background color to distinguish it from the rest of the interface, along with padding for readability. We've disabled resizing to maintain the layout consistency and increased the font size for better visibility. Finally, we have the copy button, which allows users to copy the generated code with ease. It shares the same styling as the generate button to maintain visual consistency throughout the interface. And there you have it. These CSS styles come together to create a visually appealing and user-friendly experience for our gradient generator, Enjoy the game with these stylish designs. Let's explore the JavaScript code that brings our gradient generator game to life. We'll go through each section to understand how the game's functionality is being defined. We've written some JavaScript code to make our gradient generator fully operational. This code adds interactivity to our interface, allowing users to select colors, choose gradient directions, generate gradient codes, and copy them with ease. We begin by declaring variables to store references to the color input elements, the current gradient direction, and the text area where the generated code will be displayed. Next, we have a function called setDirection. This function is triggered when a direction button is clicked. It takes two parameters: the desired direction value and the button element itself. Within this function, we remove the active class from all direction buttons to reset their styling, then add the active class to the button that was clicked. We update the current direction variable to the selected direction value. Moving on, we have the generate code function. This function is called when the generate button is clicked. It constructs a gradient code string using the selected colors and direction, then updates the value of the text area to display this code. Additionally, it sets the background of the body element to the generated gradient for immediate visual feedback. Lastly, we have the copy text function. This function is triggered when the copy button is clicked. It selects the text inside the text area, copies it to the clipboard using the document.exec command copy method, and alerts the user with a message indicating that the gradient code has been copied successfully. Additionally, we've called the generate code function once at the end of the script to ensure that the gradient code is generated automatically when the page loads. And that wraps up the JavaScript implementation for our gradient generator. With this code in place, users can now interact with our interface to create custom gradients for their web project. Now it's time to see if our gradient generator is working properly. And there you have it, our dashboard sidebar is working properly and fully functional. Please like, share, and subscribe for more tutorials like this. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.